Hi there, on this screencast I'm going to show you how to make a scrolling background that will scroll continuously in an App Inventor game. So I created a new project here in App Inventor named Side-Scrolling Demo, and the only thing I changed about the screen is I set its orientation to landscape. Then there's basically four controls that I need to drag onto the screen. One of them is a canvas, and canvases are under the drawing and animation palette. So I dragged one of those over. I also dragged two image sprites, and I finally, under the sensor palette, is the clock control, and I grabbed and dragged one of those onto the screen, and I renamed that one Background Move Clock down below. Okay, so how do I dimension the items I just dragged over? Well, the screen I just leave, or the canvas I leave as fill parent and fill parent, and then for width and height, and then for the image sprites I deselected rotates, and I set their width and height to be automatic. Alright, now before I move into the coding, we need to know a little bit about the way image sprites move around on canvases in App Inventor. So image sprites have to stay on canvases. They can't move partially off a canvas. They have to stay completely on a canvas. So now the problem is, with a scrolling background, you want part of the sprite, which makes up one of or half of the background, to go off the screen gradually. But this isn't possible with a canvas that takes up the entire screen. So what we do to get around that is to actually make a canvas that's 3 times as wide as the screen. And we make sure that it's aligned horizontally in the middle of the screen, so that 1/3 of it is going to be off to the left and 1/3 of it is going to be off to the right. So it's really going to look something like this. The canvas is going to be 3 times the width of the screen, so that this yellow area on the left and right is not going to be visible. And we're going to be able to move our image sprites into that yellow region, which is off the screen. And that's how we're going to get around the fact that the left edge of a sprite can't move beyond a canvas. Alright, so then when the game is actually running, what will we be doing? Well, actually, before I even get to that, here's how we're going to position each of the sprite images. One of them is going to have a left or an X property whose pixel coordinate is screen width. And that's because when the X and Y properties of an image sprite are the pixel locations relative to the top left corner of the canvas, not the screen. So if we make image sprites, 2 image sprites that are each the width and height of a screen, and we have a canvas that's 3 times as wide as the width of the screen, then the first sprite we're going to position right on the screen, and his X value would be screen width. And then the second one we're going to position right off the screen. And you compute his pixel location by saying, okay, well his left edge is the left edge of the other one plus however wide the other one is. So that's how we're going to position the sprites initially, and then we're going to do kind of what we did in XNA, and actually this is all very similar to XNA, and that is we're going to be moving both image sprites to the left when one of them reaches the left edge of the canvas, meaning it's completely off the screen. Then we are going to reposition it so that it is immediately behind the other image sprite. And what would the left coordinate be that we're going to reposition sprite image 1? to be? Well, it would be the X position of sprite image 2 plus however wide sprite image 2 is. Alright, so now that you know maybe a little bit more of a background on how we're going to structure our canvas, let me go in and let's actually write some of the code. Okay, so how do I position items in code so that they're correctly positioned when the app launches? Well, what I need to do, and here, I'm just going to delete what I had done before and start from scratch. So what I need to do is create an initialize event for the screen. So I'm going to go to screen 1 and I'm going to go to initialize, and I need to initialize the positions, width, and heights of image sprite 1 and 2. Now, what I forgot to mention is that we need to make image sprite 1 and 2 such that they are mirror images of each other. So the way I do this is I take my first image, and you can open paint.net, or I think you can do this in Paint as well. And if you're using paint.net, you do image and then you do rotate 90 degrees clockwise. And actually, I'm sorry, that is not what you do. You do image, flip horizontal, that's it. Okay, so that gives me a mirror image of the original. So I have two different files. Each is the flip, kind of the mirror image of the other one. And basically, back in the designer view, I need to associate each one of those with my two image sprites. So I have image sprite 1. I uploaded both of those files, which I do over here in the lower right hand corner in the media section. I do upload file. I browsed, I found both of them. I call them Skyline 1 and Skyline 2. I uploaded them, and then I clicked on image sprite 1 and I associated the picture Skyline 2. I clicked on sprite 2 and associated the picture of Skyline 2, and for image sprite 1 I did Skyline 1. Alright, so now let's go back and position the canvas and the sprites. So I'm going to do the canvas first. So I will do, I want to set the width and height of it. So I'm going to set the width, and that is going to be screen width. No, actually it's going to be 3 times screen width. So I'm going to grab one of the multiplication pieces, and I'm going to multiply the screen width times 3, and then I'm going to do the canvas set height, and I set that to the screen height. And while I'm thinking about it, let's make sure that we set the alignment correctly for the screen, so that for align horizontal we have center, and align vertical we have top. Can't remember if I pointed to that or not, but that's the way it needs to be. Alright, now I'm going to set the width and height of sprite image 1 and sprite image 2. So I'll do sprite image 1, and I'll do height, and that's going to be also screen height, and then the other sprite's height is going to be screen height as well. And now I'll do their widths. So each of them are going to be as wide as the screen. Alrighty, so now I just need to position the left and right coordinates of each of the sprites. So let me do sprite 1 first. So sprite 1 is going to start on the screen. It's going to take up the entire screen, and that position, that left edge relative to the canvas would be at screen width pixels from the left edge of the canvas. As I think I went over here, if you look at this diagram, we're positioning image sprite 1 right at screen width pixels away from the left edge of the canvas. Alright, so now I need to do his height needs to be, or his y coordinate needs to be 0, because his top is the top edge of the canvas. Alright, so now I'm going to do the other block, and his left edge needs to be basically the left edge of the other image sprite plus the width of the other image sprite. So I would do, let's see, get x and then I would do get width. Okay, and this is image sprite 2. And then his y value is also equal to 0. Alright, so now I should have all of the rectangles positioned correctly. And now I'm going to work with the clock and make the images both move to the left. Okay, so if I look at the clock, I changed its, let's see, I changed its time interval to 10 to make it move pretty quickly. And I'm going to go and make the event, basically the tick event for the clock. So if I grab, I'm going to grab the event handler for the clock, and then each time the clock ticks, he's going to reposition the X property of both of the image sprites. So I'm going to do a set, and I need to subtract from the X property of the clock, or of the sprite. And let me try, I'll subtract 5 pixels each time. Okay, and then I need to do the same thing for the other sprite. And now I need 2 if statements that are going to reposition the sprites, image sprites, when they go completely off the screen. So the way I check for that is to see if its left edge has reached the 0 position of the canvas. So I say, okay, if image sprite 1.x is equal to 0, then I need to reposition it to immediately follow the other sprite. And that position would be image sprite, the X property of the other one, plus however wide the other one is. And then I need to do the same thing for the other guy as well. And that should do it. That should be enough to get a scrolling background moving across the screen. And let's see if we can get it working. So I'm going to try running it now. And I'll try to bring it onto the camera so you can see it. Yes, it worked. And here is what it looks like. So hopefully you can see that. We have like an endlessly scrolling silhouette of the skyline of some city.